Guys, now please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. So, guys, now please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Am I audible, guys? Guys, now please check it. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Am I audible? Good morning, guys. Good morning to all. Right, sir. Now, understand the content here. What we are discussing now. I think so. Now, just we started with advanced Java and advanced Java prerequisite part here. We are discussing here. So, in prerequisite also here, what we are discussing. So hoops related things we completed there. Exception handling content here we are discussing. Then in the last session, just I give you a brief overview of exception handling. That introduction part for exception handling that I have given. Just 2 minutes I'll give that review. Then after that we'll move forward. Right. Now today we have to discuss about throws keyword. Then after that throw keyword. First throw keyword, next throws keyword. Throw on throws keywords. After the try catch finding, next one is what they try with resources. These are the things that we are going to understand. Right, sir. Now observe carefully. Exception handling content can be provided here. Yeah. So here what I am giving there, exception. What exactly the meaning of exception? I given there. What is an exception actually? Exception is an unexpected event occurred at the runtime of the applications. Exception is an unexpected event occurred at runtime of the applications which may be provided by the users while entering dynamic input to the applications, which may be provided by the database engine while executing JDBC applications, which may be provided by the network while creating connection between client and server in the distributed applications, and so on and so on and so on. So many cases no causes abnormal terminations to the applications. Where some examples are given. One of the example is what there. User is expecting integer value, but we provided what value can ABC. So where we are able to get an exception. Right, so while executing SQL queries now, if we provide wrong SQL query, then we are able to get what there SQL exception. If we provide a wrong IP address while creating connection between local machine to the remote machine, there we are able to get like what there, what we are able to get now, network exception here we are able to get, or socket exception here we are able to get. All these many exceptions here we are able to get now. Right, sir. Then anyway, then one more point I'm telling you, types of terminations in Java. There are two types of terminations in Java. There are two types of there are two types of terminations in Java. That's it. One is what the smooth termination, another one is what the abnormal termination. What is smooth termination? No? Terminating the program execution at the end of the program. That is what the smooth termination. Then what is abnormal termination actually? Terminating the program execution in the middle of the program. Then that is called as what the abnormal termination. Okay, clear. In Java applications, abnormal terminations are able to provide the following serious problems. What problems here? It may crash local operating system. It may collapse the database if it is a database related application. It may down the server if it is a server side application. To overcome all the above problems, we have to avoid abnormal terminations to the programs. For this, we have to handle the exceptions properly. In Java applications, to handle the exceptions properly, we have to use a set of mechanisms explicitly called as what the exception handling mechanisms. Right, sir. Given one standard conclusion related to exception handling. In Java applications, exceptions are providing abnormal terminations, but the exception handling mechanisms are providing smoother terminations. In Java applications, exceptions are providing abnormal terminations, but the exception handling mechanisms are providing smoother terminations. Right, sir. Then after that, Java is a robust programming language. Why? Because Java has very good memory management system in the form of memory management system. There's a dynamic memory management system. It allocates and deallocates memory for the objects at runtime of the applications. At the same time, another important point I'm telling there, Java has a very good exception handling mechanisms. This is another reason why Java is a robust programming language. Java has a very good exception handling mechanisms. Why? Because Java has provided very good predefined libraries to represent and handle almost all the exceptions which are coming frequently in Java applications. Right, sir. How many types of exceptions are available? There are two types of exceptions. One is predefined exceptions, and other one is what there user defined exceptions. Predefined exceptions. These exceptions are defined by Java programming language and are provided along with Java software. There are two types of predefined exceptions. One is checked exceptions, and other one is what there unchecked exceptions. So here, what is checked exception and what is unchecked exception? Checked exceptions are the exceptions which are identified by the compiler but not really occurred at compilation time. Just by monitoring the code, at the time of compiling our code, compiler will check it. Compiler will check it. If you run this program, definitely in this particular location, exception will come. So that would be checked by the compiler. So because of that reason, that exceptions are called as what they're checked exceptions. But really exceptions are not occurred at the compilation time. Really exceptions are occurring at runtime only, not at compilation time. But compiler can predict 100%. If you run this code in this location, definitely will get an exception. Like this, compiler will predict it. Like this, compiler will check it. So that's the reason why they're called as what they're checked exceptions. Unchecked exceptions are the exceptions which are recognized by the JVM at runtime of the application, not by the compiler. And then after that, user-defined exceptions also here are given. These exceptions are defined by the developers as per the application requirements. That's it, guys. These are the points we understood there. Okay. Now we need to understand some keywords and try catch finally. Try with resources. All these points here I'm telling to you. Observe carefully. The first one is what the throw keyword. Throw keyword. Right, sir. Guys, observe carefully, all of you know. Everybody, understand it. No? Simple question, simple points here. Exception. In Java applications, exception is expected thing or unexpected thing. Java applications, exception is what? Exception is expected thing or unexpected thing. Come on, guys. In Java applications, exception is unexpected thing, not an expected thing. It is an unexpected thing. Okay. Exception is an unexpected thing. Okay, clear. Once it is an unexpected thing now, okay, the developer is not having any intention to raise an exception while preparing the program. Exactly. But in some situations, as per the application requirements, we have to raise some exceptions. We have to raise some exceptions. In some situations, as per the requirement, that should be an application requirement. As per the application requirements, we have to raise some exceptions. Definitely, we need to raise some exceptions. Their developer intention is available. Developer must raise an exception. As per the developer's requirement, as per the application requirement, some exceptions must be raised. Exceptions must be raised. That should be the part of the application requirement. Guys, now please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those who are attending in online. Guys, am I audible? Guys, now please check it. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Then powerful expressions, guys. Just so 1 minute after the power has stopped. No. Okay, right. That's okay. All right. Now the point here, what I am discussing with you. Now observe carefully. Understand it. In general, in Java applications, exceptions are not expected. Exceptions are unexpected. Developers are writing the programs without thinking about exceptions in general. Means that they are able to prepare the programs without having any intention to raise the exceptions. Understand it clearly. But in some situations, what happen? Application requirements are coming. Application requirements are coming to raise the exception manually or intentionally by the developers. Developers are going to raise some exceptions intentionally. In some cases, developers must raise the exceptions. Right. If you want to raise the exceptions intentionally, guys, now understand it clearly. If you want to raise the exceptions intentionally, if you want to raise exceptions intentionally, there we have to use throw keyword. There we have to use what there throw keyword. Right, sir. In general, in Java application requirements, Java application development, developers are not having any intention to raise the exceptions. Developers are not having any intention to raise the exceptions. Okay? Developers are not having any intention to raise the exceptions. Clear? But as per the application requirement, but as per the application requirements, but as per the application requirements, if you want to raise the exceptions, if you want to raise the exceptions, then we have to use the throw keyword. Right, sir. Now observe carefully. In general, in Java application development, developers are not having any intention to raise the exceptions, but as per the application requirements, as per the application requirements, we may raise the exceptions explicitly. Okay, if you want to raise the exceptions explicitly, then we have to use throw keyword. That's what, guys. Now this is exactly the requirement of the throw keyword. Okay, clear? Then what is the need of this throw keyword here? We understood clearly. Okay, fine. So then what next one here apart from this? No? It's okay. That here we understood. This is the intention of like what the throw keyword. Okay, fine. Now what exactly the syntax of using throw keyword? What is the syntax of this throw keyword actually? We can understand it now. Throw new exception parenthesis Here, if you want to provide any parameter value, just param value if we can provide. That is optional anyway. That case is like what their optional case now. That's it. Now observe carefully. Throw new exception class. Every exception is a class in Java. Please remember it. Exception class, param value. Right. Now one example, simple example here I'm going to take. By that we are able to get much clarity. All of you understand it. New Java project here I'm going to take. Right. Now let me create it. Right. Now observe carefully. Now for example, I want to take um I want to take some situation like what the class student, for example. You guys understand it, no? Class student. Inside this class student, I'm going to take some members. Say for example, string student ID, string student ID, string student name. Then after this, just directly I'm going to take like what there, string student address. Maybe if you want to provide some other details, we can provide. I don't mind for this. I don't require all these details. No, directly I'm going to take string student marks. Simple. I want to take what the student marks. Okay. So just here we have taken these many variables. No, normal variables here I have taken. Of course, in general, in programming part here, we are going to declare all variables as private. All variables just here we are declaring as what they're private. Then after this, I need to set data to the student. No, I need to define some data for the student data. Student no. So I need to take a constructor. Right. So now through constructor here, I'm going to provide data. Okay, here I've taken this constructor. Inside this constructor here we are having SID, SNAME and SIDDR and SMOX. After this, what is my next requirement? No, I want to get grade. Grade in the sense I want to get status of the student. I want to get status of the student. What status can know? Some results, some exam results. All right, so now pass or fail or something else, some different results we are able to have. So then further purpose here I'm going to provide like what there public void get the status, get the student status, get student status. Now what should be the student status here I'm going to take no. Now here I'm going to provide some criteria. What criteria here I'm going to provide there? If a student marks less than 35, 0 to 35, in between 0 to 35, fail. 35 to 50, ordinary. 50 to 60, second class. 60 to 70, first class. Over 70, 70 to 100, distinction. Understand? This kind of category skill I'm going to maintain. So first of all, now tell me, then before all these things, before all these statuses now, first of all, the student marks in between 0 to 100 or not? In the case if the student marks are less than 0 or greater than 100, what is going to be happen? If the student marks are less than 0 or greater than 100, what we are able to say? Understand it? There we are able to say like what there we are able to say there exactly in that situations we have to raise an exception. What exception here we have to raise? No, invalid mocks exception here I'm going to raise. Of course, that is user defined exception here we have to prepare. No, but my intention is what there I want to raise an exception where the description I want to provide what there invalid mocks. Invalid mocks. Please enter the valid mocks. Like this, I want to provide some description. So there is a requirement to raise an exception. Guys, now observe carefully. Student marks, expected thing for the student marks is what there 0 to 100. Unexpected thing for the student marks is what? Unexpected things, unexpected thing for the student is what the student marks is what there. Alright, nobody will expect the student marks like less than 0 or greater than 100. Am I right or not? So if the student marks are less than 0 or greater than 100 now, their unexpected event is coming. That should be an exceptional situation where there is a requirement to raise an exception. There is a requirement to raise an exception. So to raise an exception, we have to use throw keyword. There's a point here I'm telling you. Right, sir? Now let me check for it. Now, first of all, let me check it. No, if SM marks greater than or equal to 0 and SM marks less than or equal to 100, valid marks. Else what? Situation is different. Else what is like what there here we have to raise an exception. Else what in the sense the student marks may be less than 0 or student marks may be greater than 100. In that situation only here we are able to come for what there else part cannot. Now inside this, then what I am going to do here, now here throw, I'm going to raise an exception, throw new exception name. Simply I'm going to raise what the runtime exception, some exception name. Actually I have not prepared runtime except I have not prepared that invalid mocks exception. Separate class I have to take. In user different exceptions you may think about it, no? But now here I'm telling that throw new runtime exception where that exception, what message here I'm going to provide here? Invalid mocks, invalid mocks, invalid mocks. Right, sir. Provide, please enter or please provide valid marks. Please provide valid marks. Now here we provided what there invalid marks. Invalid marks. Please provide valid marks. That is a message here I'm providing. No, but here I'm raising an exception. This is throw keyword. This is random exception class object. To this random exception class object here, what we provided here, no, invalid marks. Please enter valid marks. This message here we provided. No. All right, sir. It's okay. But insert this if condition. Insert this if condition, then what we are going to provide here? Now I'm going to provide some categorizations. What categorizations here we are going to provide there? If student marks less than 35, student marks less than 35, there I can specify the status value. What status value here I'm going to provide there? Right, observe carefully. What status value here I'm going to provide there? Now here itself I'm going to take some status here. String status is equal to something here. Now here I'm going to take the status is equal to, just here I'm going to say like what their file. Now else if s marks less than 50, else if less than as well less than 50. Now it is like what their third class. Now again here we are going to take like what the else if s marks less than 60, then the status is what their second class. Next one is what there, else if s marks less than 70, 60 to 70, then that is what their status is like what their status is equal to first class. Else if s marks Then else part here. No need to think about else if, no, just simply I have to think about else part here. Else status is distinction. Status is what the distinction. Okay. All right, sir. Now that's the point here I'm telling there. Guys, then one point here I'm telling there. Then people may get some question. No, sir, instead of rising an exception here, if we provide some invalid, just if it's not outdated printer like this here, we can display now. But the point is what there, displaying, if you're displaying that Cessna outdated printer now, then up to this standalone application is okay. But in enterprise application level, then what's going to be happen when this kind of situations are coming there, then there is a system to execute internally. In that system, that whatever the failure content case here we are getting there, that must be entered into the logs now. That must be given notification to some other person. That might be available to like what some other systems internally. So these many things, if you want to do, then definitely we have to raise an exception. That should be the case now. Srinivas, D. Are you understanding it? What I am telling to you now? So in the enterprise application level, just displaying a message is not sufficient. Say for example, if it is server-side application, where we are going to display the content now. If it is a server-side application, if you want to display the data by using Cessna outlet println, if you use the Cessna outlet println, where the data is going to be displayed, now tell me. Where the data is going to be displayed now? The data is going to be displayed in server prompt. Server prompt in the sense, what is the use of displaying the data in a server prompt here? Nothing, right? So understand it clearly. Right, guys. Now see this one. These are the various cases here we provided. No distinction here we are getting it. Okay, right. Sir. Fine, clear. Finally, my student class is okay. Now I'm going to test this application. I want to test this application. Now before that, now just I need to display the display the information also. What information here I'm going to display here. Now observe carefully. Then here student status also here we are getting there. Get a student status, that logic here we provided. Do one thing. First of all, let me display the values here. System outer printer now, student details. System outer printer enough. Blank space kit we are providing. System outer printer enough. Student ID. This dot SID. This dot, either we can use that this or not, that doesn't matter. Student name, then student address here. Then after that, now I'm going to display even student marks also. This dot S marks also here we are displaying it. Then after the student status here, I have to prepare no. To display the student status here, I'm going to take here. Now after getting this status value, now here I'm going to take system out printer enough student status colon status. Status value here we are providing. Okay, the logic here are given. In the case if the student is status is not like this, then if the student marks are less than 0 or greater than 100, no, in that scenario, then we are going to raise an exception. Now here, this exception is provided by the developer intentionally. Here the exception is having an intentional exception. It's not automatic. It's not like what they're without having. It's not like unintentional. This is intentional. But in general, in Java applications, we are able to use what their exceptions intentionally, unintentionally. But now, as per the application requirement here, I would raise the exception. No new runtime exception in invalid marks. Please provide valid marks. That's all fine. Okay, we are getting it. Now let's test this application. First of all, let me prepare the student object here. Student std1 is equal to new student of student ID s-111, comma student name, say for example Durga, student address for example Hyderabad, and the student marks are now. First of all, now I want to take valid case, so 72 marks here I'm going to take for example. Now std1 dot get student status, that message here we are getting. Okay, student status here we are getting it now. After this, after getting the student status, that information here, after getting the details now, then what next one here we are getting there? Understand it clearly? After this, after completion of this, then what next one here we are getting there? Now understand it, no? Now one line space here I am going to provide here, valid case here I have taken. Now I am going to take another case, invalid case. Now here I am going to provide like what there, 2 to 2. Next one is what there, Anil. Next one here, what I am telling there. So if I say for example Chennai. Now student walks here, now this time I am going to take like what there, 150 for example. 150. Okay. Water. Now here we are getting like what there, 150. std2 dot get the student status. Get the student status. Okay. Get the student status. The data here we are getting. Now observe carefully. Now I want to execute it. For the first case, we are not having any problem here. In the first case, we are not having any problem. But in the second case only here we are having problem. In second case only here we are getting problem. Why? Because the student walks here I provided like what is there, 150. Okay, here we provided 150. Okay, 150 here we are getting. That is a problematic. No, first one is what is 72 here we are getting. In the case of the 72, we are not getting any problem. As is the successful case here we are getting student marks are valid, and there we are getting some status now. Now let me check for it. Now see this message here. First case is successful. Here we are getting the status now S111 Durga Hyderabad 72 distinction. Now the student details. Second case here I am telling there S222 Anil Chennai 150. Student marks are 150. Immediately we are getting an exception. Runtime exception. Invalid marks. Please provide valid marks. Then after that here we are getting some exceptions. Where that exceptions are generated there, the tracing also will be provided. Here we are getting it now. Stack trace. Okay. So this is exactly the way of raising an exception intentionally. Way of providing an exception intentionally. If you want to raise an exception intentionally, what keyword here we have to use, sir? Come on, guys. Everybody must respond for it now. What keyword here we have to provide if you want to raise an exception intentionally? Right, sir? Now tell me, you only tell me what keyword here we have used, the throw keyword. That is the intention of the throw keyword. That is the power of the throw keyword. If you want to raise an exception intentionally, explicitly, as per the application requirement, if you want to raise the exception, there we have to use, there we have to go for what the throw keyword. Throw keyword is the right option here. We have to understand. Clear, guys? That's okay, fine. This is the program here. We have to understand. Required. This much of awareness is required. Then only here we are able to understand advanced Java content here. No, but no problem. Just I'm explaining the each and every point clearly. Try to follow the content here. That's enough. So finally here what we completed here, no, throw keyword here we completed. Next option is throws keyword. Throws keyword. Right, guys. So in Java programming, exceptions you may get exceptions in one way. That means without having any intention, automatically may get some exceptions. But in Java applications, we are able to get exceptions intentionally also. Intentionally also here we are able to get what their exceptions. Okay. If you want to raise the exceptions intentionally, there we have to use what the throw keyword. That's the main point here I'm telling you. Okay, sir, leave it now. Now, in Java applications, In Java applications, there are two ways to handle the exceptions. Up to now we understood how to raise an exception, but now we are thinking about it now, how we are going to handle the exceptions. In Java applications, there are two ways to handle the exceptions. What are the two ways to handle the exceptions now? One is by using throws keywords. One is by using throws keywords, and the second one is by using try catch finally. Try catch finally. One is by using throws keyword, and the second one is by using what there? Try catch finally. In two ways we are able to handle the exceptions. Okay, fine. What is this first one? What is this throws keyword actually? Braxton. Understand it clearly. Directly I am giving clarity, no? In Java applications, throws keyword is able to bypass the generated exception from present method to the caller method. In general, in Java applications, the throws keyword is able to bypass the generated exception from the present method to the caller method. Guys, just it is not handling the exception properly. It is not handling the exceptions properly. It is not handling the exceptions properly. Just it is able to bypass exception from present method to the caller method. One method to another method. If you want to bypass the exception, or if you want to bypass the exception from present method to the caller method, there we have to use what keyword? Throws keyword. That is the intention. That is the purpose here. We have to understand. All right, so understand it clearly, all of you know. This is okay, fine. This is exactly the meaning of like what they're generating. That means bypassing. That is bypassing the exception. Guys, now it's simply like what I'm telling to you. For example, a simple example I'm telling to you. You have done some mistake here somewhere else now. For example, you have done some mistake. For example, you have taken money from somebody else. So within the time we have not returned that money. Within the time you have not returned that money. Then what other person is going to do? What that opposite person is doing? No. What that opposite person is doing there? Definitely will come to you. He will ask you, now when you are returning money, then please return that money. Like this, that other person, the person who has given money to you, he will come to you, will ask there. Unfortunately, you have not returned that money. One or two attempts might be he asked there. He asked with you, but unfortunately, you are not replied for it. You are not even care about it, no. Then what's going to be happen there? If it's the case, no. If it's the case, then what's going to be happen? Then he is going to approach to whom? To whom he is going to approach there? Next attempt. To whom he is approaching next level? You have done a mistake, no. But that opposite person will approach to whom? Your parents. Your parents. That's nice. Okay. Still, your parents are not responded properly. Then what next? Then what next? In the next level, if your parents might be, if you have might be what national grandfather, then definitely parents will. That means that opposite person will approach to the next level. So it's like what the problem is bypassed from one level to next level. The problem is not solved at your level, so the problem is bypassed to the next level, your parents. Still if it is not solvable, then definitely the problem will be bypassed to whom? The next level. So this here bypassing the problem from one to another. So one situation to one thing to another. So there is a story about like what the throws keyword. Throws keyword is able to bypass the exception. Throws keyword is able to bypass the exception from present method to the caller method. It is not handling that exception. Just it is skipping from responsibility. and otherwise and assigning or otherwise and sending exception handling responsibility to some other, giving exception handling responsibility to some other. That's the intention of the throws keyword. Right, sir. Good. Now observe carefully. In Java applications, the throws keyword is able to bypass the exception from the present method to the caller method. Right, sir. It's okay. In general, throws keyword will be used in the method prototype, but not in the method body. In the method declarations only, we are going to provide that exceptions. In general, the throws keyword will be used in the method prototype, but not in the method body. That's an object carefully. Say, for example, if we take this method M1 here, there here we are going to write throws some exception name here. Like this here, if you provide now this throws keyword is able to bypass the exception which is available inside this M1 method to the caller of this M1 method. Some other method is calling this M1 method to the caller of this M1 method. That exception is bypassed. Okay. So this is exactly the meaning of like what the throws keyword that here we understood now. Right, sir. Now I want to show these points here programmatically with the proof here. I'm going to show that. Now observe carefully. What point here I'm telling here? One example here I'm telling you. Now observe carefully. Right, sir. Now here we are understanding. Okay. Now example here I'm going to show. Now to show this example here I'm going to use like what are the VS Code, Visual Studio Code, guys. Then don't worry. All right, just for the sake of your understanding purpose here I'm using this VS Code. Why? Because compilation I need to perform there continuously. Through compilation I'm going to show this exact functionality of this one. Observe carefully. Say for example 7 a.m. ADV Java. It's okay. Right, sir. Tester.java here I'm going to take no. Understand it clearly. In our tester.java public class test. Now inside this main method, it's okay. Class test inside this main method. Right, sir. Now understand it clearly. Say for example, here I'm going to take class K. Inside the class K, I'm going to take void add method. Inside this add method, we are calling like what the concat method. I have to define that concat method, void concat method. Here I have defined, or else maybe concat is okay. Fine. Instead of this concat, no append method. Here I'm going to take no something else, whatever it may be. Here I'm going to take append method. Right. Now inside this, just I'm going to write some exception. Any exception here, whatever it may be. Throw new IO exception. For example, here I'm providing there IO exception. Here I'm going to provide the message no my IO exception. My IO exception. IO exception is available in java.io package no. Import java.io.star. So here we are getting an exception here. Okay, fine. Now at line 7th line here we are getting an exception. It's okay. I provided. I'm raising that exception now. Append method. Inside this append method we got an exception that we called inside what method? Add method. Okay, now inside this main class and main method, now a small a is equal to new a. Here I'm taking no a dot then what method here I've taken here? Add method. That's it, guys. Now forget about this line, sir. Now forget about this red color line. Don't worry, guys. Now just I'm asking, I'm giving some pinpoints to now observe carefully. Actually, we raised an exception at seventh line. Okay, inside this append method. Append method call is identified at what line here? Fourth line. Okay, that is inside the add method. Add method cal is available at what line here? 13th line. Inside the main method. At 13th line, we are getting add method call inside the main method. Okay. Here we are having these many pinpoints. No, just try to remember these pinpoints. Okay. Now here I am going to run this example. New terminal here I am getting here. I am going to compile this one here. Now observe carefully. Java C space test.java. Java C space test.java. Okay, if I compile this one, definitely here we are able to get an exception at the seventh line. Now see this one here we are getting an exception. Please read this exception, guys. All of you know. Here we are getting an exception at what line here? Seventh line we are getting here. Unreported exception. Please remember it. Unreported exception. Checked exception. So exception is not reported. Why? Because compiler can identify. Here we are able to get an exception. But what exactly that exception is able to provide, that is not reported here. So unreported exception means that exception is not occurred here, just identified. Compiler can analyze this. In this line, we are able to get an exception. Like this here, we are getting some notice there. Compiler is giving that notice anyway. Forget about this statement here, but where we are getting an exception, that is important. Seventh line. Oh, okay. My intention is what there. I don't want to handle this exception here in this location. I want to bypass this exception to the caller of append method. I don't want to handle that exception here. Just I want to bypass that exception to caller of the append method. Right, sir. Further purpose here, we have to provide throws. Either we have to provide the generate exception or super of the generate exception. Now here I'm going to provide IO exception here. No problem. Now tell me, when we provide the throws IO exception here, now I'm going to compile this program. Now observe carefully. Previously we got exception at seventh line. Now here we are going to get an exception at fourth line. Now observe carefully. Now Java C space test.java. Now here we are getting an exception. At what line here we are getting an exception, sir? At the fourth line here we are getting an exception. That exception is bypassed from one line to another line because of throws keyword. Okay. Now inside the add method we got an exception. But here also I don't want to handle it. I want to provide throws keyword. I want to bypass this exception to the caller of this method. So throws keyword. Along with this throws keyword, here we have to provide like what there, what we have to provide now, some exception name. Generate exception and super of the exception. Now here IO exception is bypassed to this location. Now I don't want to, I want to bypass that IO exception through like what there, exception. Here I can specify either IO exception or we can specify like what there, exception. Either of the things here we are able to provide. So exception super class to the IO exception. Either we can specify directly IO exception or we can specify like what the exception cable. Okay, fine. Now observe carefully where we are calling this add method. What add method caller here. Now here add method is called here. Inside this main method, where 13 here we are getting it now. Now here, if I compile this program here, where we are able to get an exception here, Java space Java C space tester.java. Now here we are getting in the exception message at what line here? No, 13th line. That exception is bypassed from one line to another line. Now here we are getting that exception at what line here? No, at the 13th line here we are getting that exception. Okay, fine. When we are getting that exception at 13th line, whenever we are getting exception at 13th line, then what next one here? Now even at your main method, inside this main method also, I don't want to handle this exception. Here we got an exception, but I don't want to handle this one here, even here also. Then here what I'm telling there, throws super of the exception. Now here we are getting an exception. So now throws throwable is also available. Throwable is a super class even for exception. Throwable is available. So we are directly bypassing that exception from main method to the caller of the main method. Guys, all of you please respond to me. Who is calling this main method? Who is the caller of the main method? Come on, respond for me, guys. Who is the caller of the main method? Yeah, guys, are you seeing my screen now? Are you getting my screen now? Guys, are you getting my screen? Yeah, guys, then don't worry. Then this is about like what the throws keyword here, what I explained, no? Then don't worry. Throws keyword just as the bypassing that exception here. I'm going to keep that example in the document here, then so that we can take the document now. Then today I want to stop this session here itself, and tomorrow I want to continue the class, guys. The throws keyword explanation I completed. So only try catch final is available. That tomorrow I'm going to explain that. Okay, guys. Anyway, time is also become up now. Tomorrow I'll continue the remaining part. Okay. Shall we move? Then can I take the session on tomorrow? Shall we continue on tomorrow? Yeah, there is an internet problem here. Then last 1 minute, nothing I've discussed here. Only the point is that content is completed now. Then tomorrow we are going to see the remaining part. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Tomorrow we'll meet.